Oh, so what happened with the phone call to the bosses? What happened to the phone call to the bosses? Well, nothing happened actually. Nothing. Absolutely zero. Hello to you, people that are out there that are watching. Appreciate you being here. So I called up the office of Tammy Duckworth first because I wanted to know what was going on with this government shutdown. And I called up her office and they're too busy at this time. Couldn't even leave a message. I hung up and called back again. Same thing. Too busy at this time. Leave a message. Or no, couldn't even leave a message. So I had to hang up. And then I called Senator Sean Casten, because they're the two Democratic senators of the state of Illinois. So then I call Sean Casten and I get a voicemail, leave a message. So I leave a message and I say, hey, I'm a concerned citizen. I live in the state of Illinois. I'm in the south suburbs of Chicago. I want to know a little bit more about this government shutdown. I'm a social media influencer and I'm trying to get my information 100% accurate before I talk about it. And I would appreciate some of your time if you would be so great to return my call. I have a few questions about the government shutdown. I want to know what's going on, and I demand that it be reopened. People are going to be affected by this. I am not okay with what's going on at all, and I want to understand a little bit more. So if you could return my call, that would be great. That was like a week ago. No luck. They don't care. You can't get a hold of them. They're not answering the phone. They could give a shit less about the people that are going to be affected by a government shutdown, or that have been affected by the government shutdown. Just like the typical Democrats and how they perform. They get what they want and they disappear for 4 years until they need to be reelected again. And then they show back up. And they tell you a bunch of stuff that you want to hear, and you buy it because you're poor, you don't have a lot, you make excuses why you don't want to work for XYZ, you don't like capitalism, you don't like big business, you don't like all these things, so what fits you the best? And that's the Democratic Party. And people go along the lines of pandering to poor people's feelings, less educated people's feelings, and they just do whatever it takes to convince them that the Democratic Party is what's best for them, when the Democratic Party has been doing nothing but ruining lives since the beginning of racism and segregation and division in general. One of the worst proponents of this was Barack Obama. He was literally the worst president for causing racial divide amongst people. He was literally the worst president for amping up this diversity, equity, inclusion stuff when it should be based on merit and what you have to offer a company, not the color of your skin. So by doing this, people in general became resentful against other people because they're not playing on the same field. DEI is a complete scam. It's actually racist in itself, and it creates division and segregation in itself. If these politicians really cared and they were for us, they would have returned that call. They would have said, look, this is pretty important. I'm not a big fry in the sea, right? You know, I'm not a big fish out there. I'm not a big fry in the fry box. But what I am is I'm an information piece, regardless if it's real or not, regardless if I'm accurate or not. I put info out there. And that could either say, make or break somebody. Sometimes me, sometimes them. You would think that they would look into this and be like, who is this guy? You know, who's this social media guy? Let me call him back and figure out who he is. Vet him a little bit and see if it's worth putting my time into. Everybody should be worth putting their time into, but they don't do their homework. Why? Because you voted for them. They get this little security blanket of 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, and they don't have to worry about what you want or I want in the meantime. Because when that time comes back up for them to be reelected, they're going to get millions of dollars from their Democratic supporters, and they're going to go out there and they're going to tell you a bunch of stuff that you want to hear, and you're going to feel real good about it, and then you're going to spend the next 2 to 6 years getting nothing. Absolutely diddly squat. Nothing. And that's been going on since the beginning of time. So when are people going to wake up? You would think that Tammy Duckworth or Sean Casten would have called me back up and said, hey, look, man, this is, or even one of the representatives from their office would have said, hey, can we talk about this? Can we give me some questions? I'll give you some answers, and hopefully this educates you a little bit more on what's going on, and then you could pass it along to your people. If they cared, they would have picked up the phone and they would have done it. But they don't fucking care. The reason they don't care is because they have nothing to worry about, especially in the state of Illinois. This has been going on for far too long. I'm going to call them again today, and I'm going to press them again today to try to figure out what the hell is going on. Why are they not giving us information? Why is there this back and forth stuff? How come the Republicans have come up with multiple bills, even if you didn't like what they had to say? How come they've come up with multiple bills or multiple proposals to start this back up? Let's protect at least federal workers, and let's make sure people stay on their SNAP benefits. How fucking hard is that? Let's make sure we take care of federal workers and keep people on their benefits that need it. That should be our number one priority right now. I feel like if you shut down the government and you take away other people's money because of XYZ, because you as the politicians failed us in coming up with an agreement, your money should stop as well. This needs to be a thing. If you take money away from people that are on government assistance, regardless if they like it or not, your money should stop as well, because you're not doing your job. And you should be in the office every single day, Monday through Sunday. Doesn't matter until somebody comes up with something that can fix it. Everybody sits down at the table, and it doesn't matter if you like each other or not. That's the rules, because we the people say that's the rules. And until we start trying to enforce stuff like this, what are we doing? We're wasting time. Complete waste of time. People need to start holding them accountable. I am going to call them almost every day if I can, until I get answers on what the hell is going on. I don't agree with hungry children, people that need assistance, having it taken away from them. People that need assistance, there are people with disabilities that cannot fend for themselves, they cannot work, they absolutely have to have help around the clock, that are getting $100 a month, $80 a month. They're barely getting assistance at all. But Sarah from the trailer park, she got 5 babies, but 5 different daddies. She couldn't keep her leg closed. She didn't know what birth control was, and she didn't think about what she did before she did it, because she was more interested in the fun and the process. Or maybe this baby daddy is a little bit better than the last baby daddy, where she's been picking them up in the same places. There should be no different result. She couldn't keep her leg closed, but guess what? She's making $700-800 a month plus, getting assistance for a phone and SNAP benefits and everything else, WIC this and that. But this person that's disabled doesn't have a prayer. This person that actually needs it, that has a medical condition where they can't go to work and be on their feet all day, they don't get covered. Our elderly that need the help the most, or our veterans that actually need the assistance because they never went and applied for their VA benefits, because a lot of veterans don't believe in actually taking from the system, because believe it or not, the system is also paid by taxpayers. I collect benefits every month. I'm a VA, I'm a vet. I got hurt. I got my knee, ACL, MCL blown out. I had all kinds of stuff done to me. I ended up catching a mobile dysentery, which took down my digestive system. I literally was on the verge of dying, and I still suffer with those problems today. But I knew that I needed assistance. I knew that I needed to go out and get help. So I went out and I got help. And in the process of getting help, I actually got benefits. And I wasn't out to get benefits. I was out to get help. But benefits came along with it. There are a lot of vets out there that could be collecting benefits, but they don't collect benefits because they don't actually want to take from the system. Even though they need it, some of them that need it the most, they don't want to take from the system, so they go without. They try to make do with whatever way they possibly can. I got a guy right down the street right here. He's 60-some years old. He's a vet. He can barely walk, but he still gets up and he walks his dog every single day because he knows he has to be active or else he's going to die. He knows he needs to be active or else his body's going to shut down. He won't collect assistance because he said, I've never been taught to do that. That's something that I'm completely against. You know what? Those people need it more than anybody. And they don't want it. They still find a will to live. They still find a way to live. So there's a lot of people out there that are on benefits that absolutely do not need it. But they take advantage of it. I remember years ago, sitting in the truck on a long drive, there was a radio, a show came on what is that, that monthly service that you get with your vehicles, Sirius XM. It was a show out of Texas. There was a lady that called in. They were asking about people that get benefits from the government. The lady called in and she was like, yeah, I be collecting a cell phone bill money from the government. They pay my cell phone. I get like $800 in food stamps. I get electricity assistance. I get assistance for my medical and stuff like that. I got 5 children. 3 of them by different baby daddies, and the last 2 by the same baby daddy. And the host was like, okay, so where's the last baby daddy with the 2 kids? Is he living with you? Oh yeah, he is. We in love. He's my partner. He's my partner. Okay, well if he's your partner, then how come you're not married? Well, because if we get married, then he can't collect different benefits than me. So because we're not married, he could go collect benefits, and because I'm a single mother, I can collect benefits for my 5 children as well, and we can collect benefits in the same household. So they figured out how to work the system differently. So with that being said, you're on here bragging about learning how to work. She said, oh yeah, I smoke pot whenever I want, I buy whatever I want, everything's pretty much taken care of for me. And the host was like, and do you think that's right? Do you think that's right doing that to the American people, the taxpayers that pay all this? And she said, it's not my fault. Your dumbass decided that this is what you want to do. The government allows me to do stuff like this. So if I can find a way to do it and I do it, why would you be mad at me? You're allowing me to do this. And you know what? It was like, poof, the epiphany. I'm not mad at you because you did learn how to do it. And our government did allow it. So it's people like Casten and Tammy Duckworth, along that whole rail of senators across the United States that could be making a change to this stuff, but they don't do it because they don't care. As long as they can keep people that feel like they have to be on assistance or they need somebody else on their coattail, it's exactly what they're going to continue to do. If they can keep you in their pocket, that's where they want you. And all they got to do is feed you some benefits from time to time and tell you what you want to hear. And that's exactly what they're doing. And you're buying every fucking bit of it. Every bit of it. And there are tons of jobs out there. You know what? What's sick is on a live stream last night, we were talking about mechanic stuff, right? And what's wrong with the mechanic industry and the dealer industry and the manufacturing industry. But somebody brought up a good point in that segment. They said, how come to start as a mechanic, a lube tech, changing oil, busting it on tires and stuff like that, you start at $16 an hour. But if you go to the local McDonald's or some of these Wendy's or some of these fast food joints, you make $20 an hour, $25 an hour. Something's not right here. Something isn't right here because our world, on how we look at workers, we look at them as numbers. And as long as V12562 is coming to work every day and clocking in and clocking out, and I'm getting productivity out of them, and they still choose to do it for the same little bullshit pay every single day, that's exactly what they want. That's what they're doing. And if a company pays a person a wage, it should be a living wage. That should be a rule across the United States. If you work a job for an hourly rate or salary or whatever it is, you should be getting paid a living wage. Now, I exclude fast food joints from that because there's a lot of young people that are in college that work part-time that need those jobs just to get by. And they're not as important as some of the other jobs. Fast food, for all I care, you could crush that industry completely and get rid of it, and I wouldn't care. If you actually look at the targeted zones where fast food joints are actually built, they're closer to low-income areas than most other areas. Why is that? Because they know people are going to make the choices to go get the double cheeseburger from McDonald's for $1.25 versus going to the store and buying something that's healthier. Because that's all they know. That's how the government has trained them. Why do you think Planned Parenthood, fast food joints, really crappy grocery stores and stuff like that don't have a lot to offer are predominantly built around low-income areas? Because they know they can hook those people, and that's exactly what they're going to live and be accustomed to. They don't know any different. We've been programmed for years to be okay with this because that's all we know. And it's sickening. So people like Tammy Duckworth and Casten can make a difference, but they don't want to make a difference. Because they're so comfortable sitting where they're sitting, and they know people are too stupid to wake up and realize they're not what you want. None of them are. They're not what you want. And it's going to stay that way until something changes. This government shutdown isn't about a right versus left thing. This government shutdown is about people being greedy. People using us as leverage to get what they want so they can launder the money that's being sent over to Nepal for the sex changes, or India for the EV transportation that they're building, or PBS networks overseas in the Middle East. You think that money's actually going over there? They're giving them a cut of that money and they're pocketing a lot of it themselves. They're laundering the money. This is how they're doing it. You think all the money that went into Chicago with Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker, do you think that money is going to those people, the migrants that all of us are complaining about that don't need to be here? A lot of it's not. Some of it is. And I don't agree with that. I think those people should go back where they came from. And I think we should start fresh. I think we need to revamp the way our immigration system works, for sure. It shouldn't take 2, 3, 4 years for somebody to come over here. If they got a clean background where they're from, and they're an able body to come to the United States and actually put into our society, we should allow them to come here. It shouldn't be a 2-year process. There definitely needs to be a revamp there, but we need to be able to do it legally, not just walking into this land. So everybody says nobody's illegal on stolen land. Well, this is not stolen land. This is conquered land. We conquered this land, we took it, and we defended it. That's it. I don't understand how there is any other way to put it. And people don't understand that. You can't take land that you don't own. Nobody owns this land. You take it, or you can't own land that you didn't buy. You didn't build it yourself. We're on it and we're defending it. And that's just how it is. And that's how civilization has been built since the beginning of time. That's it. For all these people that think, oh yeah, natives were here first, all that's bullshit too. It was pre-Ice Age before that even happened. We can get into all that in another video. But all this bullshit that's been going on, that's been pushed since Barack Obama, is absolutely horseshit. We all are from the same fucking blood. If you believe in Christ, if you believe in Jesus Christ, even if you don't and you believe in evolution, for God's sake, we all came from the same place. We just evolved into different colors and stuff, right? We created our own languages. So this black versus white stuff is all bullshit. This is being perpetuated by the government. It's been perpetuated by the government. But right now, we can't focus on just allowing everybody to melt in the same place, because people come from different areas where their ethnicities and how they live their lives is very dangerous. Very dangerous. You go down to Mexico, you go down to Guatemala, you go down to Venezuela or Colombia or something like that, and you see how those people deal with somebody that crosses them. They drag their ass out in the middle of a field and they chop their head off. And they rarely pay the consequence for it. And that's normal. That's normal where they're from. You want that here? Just like the reporter that asked Mayor Brandon Johnson, how would you feel if it was your wife on the north side of Chicago that immigrant grabbed, bashed her head into the skull or into the ground and then raped her? He wouldn't answer the question. The reporter said you'd want him deported. You'd want him deported. As a husband, as a father, as a human being, you would want him deported back where he came from. But he wouldn't answer the question because he's a freaking coward. Coward. And a lot of that's coming from the Democratic Party. A lot of it is. Look at Don Lemon. Don Lemon was out in Broadview, Illinois, asking questions, right? He got put on the spot by a veteran of the military veteran. He says, so I'm going to ask you a question, Don. And Don is one of the biggest voices out there for the Democratic Party, right? He's supposed to be the one that makes sense, that asks the right questions and everybody panders to, right? Don is a buffoon. He's an idiot paid for by the Democratic Party that's feeding you guys a bunch of bullshit that you want to believe in. Don is nothing but another mouthpiece that's getting paid for. He got put on the spot by this veteran, and he said, I'm going to ask you a question, Don. If it came to an American on the street or an illegal immigrant on the street, who would you choose? You know what Don said? I would choose them both. No. You can't choose them both. I'm asking you a question. Who would you choose? And Don said, I would want to help them both. I mean, no, let me revamp the scenario for you. There's a 22-year-old illegal immigrant that comes here from Mexico, Venezuela. 22-year-old, able-bodied, healthy, illegal immigrant that comes from Venezuela. And then there's a 22-year-old veteran that got hurt in the military. He's got PTSD and he needs all kinds of help, and he doesn't know how to get the help. You got these two people, one able-bodied and one American that needs a lot of help to put his life on the line for this country. Who would you choose? And fucking Don said, I would try to help them both. Because the Democrats won't answer the question. They won't answer the question. It's not about both. It's about your morals and your values and stuff and where you come from. Don comes from a better family than that and a better upbringing than that. But Don won't answer the question because Don knows the Democratic Party is paying him and he's a shill for them and he has to lie. The answer is the American, the veteran that needs the help. We all fucking know that. It doesn't matter what political party you stand for. It doesn't matter. We all know that. That's the human right answer. That's a moral right answer for all of us. How all of us should have been raised. And if you weren't, then I'm sorry. You can go start your own country somewhere else on some fucking island away from everybody else because we don't want you. That's the right answer. But Don couldn't answer that because Don's a paid for shill. All these people are. Look at Johnson. Johnson's not even fit to be the mayor of Chicago. How in the hell did he get there? You know how he got there? The teachers union. The scam teachers union. They put him there. They had a puppet that they could put in place so they could make the calls that they were going to make, and they put him there. They had people out campaigning for Johnson before it was even time for Johnson to campaign. They had put millions of dollars into campaigners to go out and actually put out flyers and talk to people for Johnson before it was even time. Why? He was nobody. He was a street thug that was out protesting and stuff like that before this. He was a nobody. But the teachers union saw a puppet. The teachers union saw somebody that was coming up out here in these crowds with the people on the streets, and they knew that they had what they needed to get the job done. Johnson is the least educated person for the position that he's in. He doesn't make sense. He can't handle criticism. He's constantly complaining about his blood pressure being up because of people stressing him out, asking him all kinds of questions and stuff. He's not fit for the job. I would have rather had Lori Lightfoot in place than Johnson because at least she made sense. She was an educated Littlefoot. She was educated. You could at least understand what she was saying, but you could still decipher the bullshit. Johnson just sounds like a complete buffoon up there talking. And Governor Pigster? What's this guy's deal? He's a multi-billionaire that's going to keep stealing the same seat over and over and over again. He's nobody. He's not done anything for the state of Illinois. He's done nothing but fuck Illinois up since he's been here. And people are too stupid to realize that he's bought and paid for. He's the richest governor in the state or in the United States. We shouldn't have governors that are worth billions of dollars. There should be no way that we ever accept billionaires or even multi-millionaires as governors of our states. That is a conflict of interest immediately. That should never be. Never. Absolutely not. And we need to make laws and protection to put that shit to bed. We don't need multi-billionaires. We don't need multi-millionaires as our representatives. We need normal people like us that understand what normal people living needs. But we keep putting the wrong people in place. Or they're just buying their way in, one or the other. Enough of this shit, man. We all need to do better than this. We all need to vote smarter. We need to get rid of these political parties. We need to get rid of a conservative title. We need to get rid of a Democratic title and be done with this bullshit. And you vote for who's up there telling you exactly what they're going to do and looking at their track history of what they've done and voting that way. We need to vote on the person, not the freaking party. And there's too many people that say, oh, go to the ballots and just vote Democrat straight down. Why? Are you a dumbass? Do you not know what these people do? Go vote Republican straight down. Are you a dumbass? You're just going to go vote for somebody blindly and you know nothing about what they said. I could say the same for the president. Well, let's get into that, Jay. Since you want to debate that, let's get into that right now. I'm hot and I'm ready. You could say the same for the president? What could you say for the president? What do you know about the president? All the bullshit that the media has said that nobody's ever proved? Seriously, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing that as well. I'm getting sick and tired of hearing that. Show me something that proves a single fact that you have to say about the president. Show it to me. Prove it to me. Because I know you can't. There's so much shit out there that people claim because it's a repeated thing on the news and social media, but they can't show you a fucking bit of proof in the process of doing it. Show me what you have. You can't do it. I can tell you right now. On my life, you can't do it. You watch a little bit on the news, or you see some article from some you know, in the medical industry, whenever somebody does a study, what they do is they look into the study. If you go on PubMed and you see a study on aspartame, and you go through it and you get to the bottom of it, on the bottom of it, it says who funded this, who asked for the study. You get to see the bias that's there. You get to see the companies that are getting involved that are going to be making money off of this study when people start to believe all this shit's bad. No, I mean electing billionaires as our leaders. He's the one person that I would have made exceptions for just for the simple fact that he's been wanted from the beginning of time. If you look all the way back to the damn 70s and 60s or whatever it was, that dude has been on everybody's podcast. Everybody praised him. Everybody said, would you ever run for president? Would you ever run for president? You're helping and doing this stuff for all these people. Would you ever run for president? You're really giving back to the community. Would you ever run for president? And you know what he did? He ran for president. Because that's what the people wanted. They saw his track history of what he was doing for American people. And yeah, there's some bullshit out there where he's done some shady stuff. And I'm not saying he's completely innocent. But if you compare him to most of the people that we have that are in power, he looks like a fucking saint. It's just their shit hasn't been exposed yet. And the Democratic Party sure is good at sweeping shit under the rug. Should we not talk about all the fucking military guys that died because of our Democratic government making a shit call about getting help out there to defend them while they're getting overrun at bases? We can go back to the Democratic Party for that, but we're not talking about that, are we? Because nobody fucking did time for that. Nobody did time for making the bad call, for not getting people out to those guys to protect them. While the very military guys that were supposed to be out there at that compound protecting them, all the soldiers that died, wanted to leave against their orders and they were held down and told not to. Who was in charge of that? So let's talk about all the corruption that's happened. And I bet you when it all boils down to it, 90% of the time, it's the Democratic Party that have been in charge when this shit happens and nobody's held accountable. So you can preach all the bullshit you want about Trump. You can preach all the bullshit you want about Trump, and it will never fucking account to 1% of what has happened with the Democratic Party. Never. So if you want to debate this, we can debate this. Show me the bits and facts of what you have against Trump. Any of you. Show me. Because I'll call you out. You're bullshit. You're not going to find it. You can't prove it. You see some article from years ago, and there was some court case about some segregation that happened where, you know what? Years ago, there was some dumb shit that happened. Years ago, people were more racist than they are today. Years ago, that's what was perpetuated. I don't hate people. I've been called racist slurs and treated differently than everybody else. We're human beings. We make wrong calls like that in our lives. We have preferences and prejudices. That's part of being a human being. But it doesn't mean that we don't love anybody less. It doesn't mean we won't take care of anybody less. We've had this type of prejudice from the beginning of time. We could come up case by case for Republicans and Democrats that have done dumb shit. There have been Republican talk show hosts that have literally said shit out loud that have gotten them in trouble and gotten them canceled. This is not new. The whole thing with Jimmy Kimmel, the thing with Tucker Carlson, the thing with all these hosts and stuff that people like to throw in your face. Yeah, they done some dumb shit, but they paid the price for it. And now I bet you they realize they can't do that stuff because they're a public figure. People do this stuff. But when you take stuff like that on an individual that's not into politics and you throw it on everybody else and see what your Republican Party did, he's not a politician. He's a fucking idiot that's talking on a talk show host that says a bunch of shit. Republicans are just as bad sometimes when it comes to that stuff. I'm not saying they're not. But my focus right now, and on all the shit that's going on, it's mainly leading back to the Democratic Party. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people buying this shit and believing it, and they're buffoons. Do you actually think that the Democratic Party in the state, how come it's gotten worse? Since 2010, when they gave the right for people in Chicago to actually have firearms to protect their homes, it's consistently got worse. If you didn't know, the Supreme Court actually pressed after a 2-year battle where there was a man in Chicago that wanted a firearm to be able to protect himself. They wouldn't let him have it. His neighborhood was getting overrun with crime. He wanted to be able to protect himself. No, you can't. Well, why? That's my Second Amendment right. I need to be able to. That's something I should be able to do. No. It took him 2 years and thousands upon thousands of dollars to fight it. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and he finally won. They said, you've got 3 months to implement a legal way for people to protect themselves in their homes in the state of Illinois. We're the strictest and worst state when it comes to crime and firearms. Now tell me how that makes sense from your Democratic Party. Tell me how they've made it so hard for people to get their license here and be able to carry. And the crime statistics since then have done nothing but raise more and more and more and more. Tell me how that makes sense. If the Democratic Party is so good at finding resolution for stuff and protecting people, which is complete bullshit, why since 2010 has the statistics gotten worse consistently? Because they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. I'll tell you that right now. It just doesn't make sense. And that's what you have with the Democratic Party. And unfortunately, this is the world we live in today. Now, I've got nothing else going on right now. And I'm over it. I've just reached the boiling point of I'm so tired of this shit. I really am. I'm so tired of everything. I'm so tired of people fighting. I'm so tired of people attacking each other and stuff over their political views. I'm so tired of people dying because they have a difference of opinion. This is not the world we should be living in. This is not, back when I was a kid, none of this shit was going on like this. We are doomed. Like, if you guys don't realize it or not, we are doomed. Call up your local senators. Every single one of you that are watching this right now, you need to call up your senators from your state and ask what the hell is going on. I don't want some rehearsed answer. I don't want your bullshit gibberish bias and stuff. I want you to tell me what's going on. What's up with the government shutdown? Every single one of you need to be doing that. Because if you're not doing it, then you're wrong. You're not getting the answers that we need. You're not pressing them to actually tell us the truth about what's going on. If the Republicans are wrong, I want to hear that. If the Democrats are wrong, I want to hear that. I want to hear what's going on and why this is not getting pushed through. At the end of the day, it seems like a fraud to me. It seems like not a fraud, a scam to me. It seems like they're trying to let these tax credits and stuff run out so everybody's premium next year does go up. And it seems like these insurance companies are in the pockets of these politicians on both sides, and they're doing this purposely. It seems to me like there's somebody paying for this. And it's not as clean cut and dry as we think. This is intentional. Just like the few Democrats that have spoke out about this already, they said we have leverage right now. My fucking life is not a leverage point for you, but unfortunately it is. They spoke out. The words came out of their mouth. This is leverage for us. This is leverage for us to get what we want. How do 141 of you feel about the Democratic Party stating that you're leverage for them? Your life and your well-being is leverage for them to get what they want. Let that sink in. I'm disgusted. I am disgusted. You know, insurance in general is a scam. For the most part, it's a scam. Very rarely do people end up getting out what they pay in. It's nice to have it when you need it, but the majority of us don't even need it. The majority of us go to basic routine checkups and learn how to eat healthy and stuff and be physically active. I wouldn't say the majority of us, but a lot of us do. Well, maybe it's time for everybody else to learn the same thing. Maybe we need to revamp the insurance system in general, across the board. Auto insurance, extended warranties, health insurance, all of it. It all needs to be looked at and revamped completely different. And why am I being forced to have something? Obamacare was the biggest bullshit that I've ever heard my entire life. It really fucked up the health insurance system. If you didn't have insurance, you got fined for not having insurance. But Obamacare was supposed to be so good that everybody could have been on Obamacare, right? Everybody. But when people applied for Obamacare, not everybody got approved. And Obamacare wasn't necessarily cheap. And then it made my regular premium double, if not triple in some situations. So those of us that dropped because we couldn't afford it anymore back then ended up getting penalized and fined for it. I paid a fine of like $600 or $900 or something like that for not having health insurance when my premium would have been triple that anyway. I would have rather paid the fine than actually pay for the health insurance because it was outrageous. So those that could afford health insurance got screwed royally, and those that couldn't got taken care of. And that's exactly how the Democratic Party suckers in low educated, low income people to sit right on their coattail. And honestly, a lot of us could be really intelligent and smart if we just applied ourselves, but most of us don't. We get on that government train and we learn how easy it is, and it doesn't pay to be smart, but it pays to be dumb. And that's exactly what people are experiencing today. All right, that's all I got. I'm sorry. I'm hot. I'm pissed off. I'm just disgusted by all of this. I'm gonna finish my workout, and my voice is starting to get amped up messed up because this just pisses me off. And I'm gonna continue calling these people Tammy Duckworth and Casten, and I will report back to you guys on exactly what I find, if I ever find anything. Because they don't answer the phone. They don't answer the phone. They don't return your calls. They don't care. Let me finish my workout. I'm going to get off of here. My voice is a little cracked up right now. I'm sorry for getting so amped up, but we all need to be this way. We all need to be this mad because it's just absolute, utter bullshit what we're going through. I wish y'all the best. Take care. Be blessed. I love y'all. I really, no matter who you are, where you're from, I love you. I do. And I want the best for you. But it needs to not be getting drugged along by the government coattail. Just take charge of your life, and if you want something, you go get it. That's just how it is. If you want something, go get it. Quit with the race bullshit. Quit with, I don't have the same opportunities as everybody else. If you want something, go fucking get it. That's just how it is. Everybody has the same opportunities. If not, some people have greater opportunities right now. And it seems if you're pink, you can't say anything. If you're pink, it's automatic racism. So we need to start treating everybody the same and holding everybody to the same accountability. Go out there and get your shit while you can. Go out there and get your shit and make your life what you want it to be. I know it's not easy, but you can do it. I believe in every single one of you. I came from nothing. I came from the streets, and I've got a good life. I've almost died multiple times. I've been through hell. And I know there have been people that have been through worse, and they've made it. And you can too. You just got to get out there and do it. Stop believing in everything the government says. Start holding people accountable. Start calling these senators and stuff up. Start going to your local town hall meetings. If you want change, you got to make it happen. You can't just wait for other people to do it. You can't just wait for voting to come around, because that doesn't make change. A lot of times that gets us in worse situations. You got to go be active. And it's not protesting. Protesting does what? You're a fucking flag waver. You're standing outside of a building or an area and you're making a bunch of noise and nothing changes. Protesting doesn't do it. You got to go physically be active in your meetings, your town hall meetings, your local meetings. I like you guys have seen me on MSNBC and Fox and ABC and all this other stuff. You guys have seen me go to town hall and just absolutely rip up the mayor of Chicago. Talk about what's going on here, because I wanted to be active. I want to be out there. I want to be present. I want my face to be seen, and I want people to hear my words, to know that we're watching them. We are coming for those seats. No matter what, something's got to change. And if you're not active, you're not putting your face out there, stop being scared. Stop being scary and just get out there and actually start making it. It's not about white versus black. It's about good versus evil. And until people start realizing that, nothing's going to change. Get out there and start doing your part. All right, y'all. I'm out. I really need to work out. Thank you. I love y'all. Be blessed.